This is the Sunday stream opening song because the other song is copyrighted. La 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 la. Oh look, here comes Dog Cat Fox.
Hi, Sky.
Whoops. Good morning, everyone. Good Christmas morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the Sunday stream, the stream I do on Sundays, because Sunday is the day to stream on Sunday. I have my hot cocoa sitting by the fire, got my Santa hat on, ready to just kind of hang out and do random things today. No big plan. I got a couple of things lined up to keep us occupied, but just thought I'd hang out with you guys. For those of you that either have or are done with your family get-togethers or don't have one yourself, because I don't have one on Christmas Day. I had mine a couple weeks ago with my family's combination Thanksgiving, Christmas put together, and that was fun. But on this day, on this particular day, I'm all by myself. But not all by myself, because I've got you guys. And who's joining me today on this beautiful Christmas morning? Earl Basham, Merry Christmas. Keeverdam, Merry Christmas. JMK, Merry Christmas. Rotten Corpse, Merry Christmas. Somnambule Nation, Merry Christmas. Funtime Bats, Merry Christmas. Derek LaRue, thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you, Derek LaRue. And your constant generosity, appreciated very much. Thank you. Spoonie the Rebel, Merry Christmas. Mike Savage, Blarg Christmas. Portmanteau, Merry Christmas. Travis Gardner, Merry Christmas. Let's see, who else? Oh, Pink Hollow Driving 8-Man, thank you so much. Merry Christmas morning, Scribbles. Merry Christmas, Pink Hollow, to you and to Press and to the kids. I hope everybody's doing well and that you guys are having a happy day. Thank you so much. Up there in Canada, in Canuckland. Appreciate it. Flabberjack, Merry Christmas. Bubba Hotep, Merry Christmas. RVADAR, Merry Christmas. No One Nowhere, Merry Christmas. Let's see, anybody else? Oh, it's the One Ton Hammer, Merry Christmas. And Hate Camel, Merry Christmas. And as I see people come in, I will attempt to Merry Christmas you all. Resolute Germ, Merry Christmas. If I miss anybody, either here or if you're lurking or if you're in the future, Merry Christmas. Thank you, Keeverdam. Merry Christmas. Did you get my super chat from hours ago? I knew. No, I did not. Hours ago, it's... tell you what. Tell me what it said. Don't super chat it again. Thank you so much. But no, hours ago, it got lost to the history of the chat box. Is that fire a bit too loud? Let me turn down the fire a little bit. There we go. Just a little. Okay. Yeah, just tell me what you said. It said Merry Christmas. Okay, well, I didn't. It got hours ago. I was asleep. Actually, it wasn't much asleep last night. My neighbors, both upstairs and downstairs, decided to have their Christmas parties somehow, for some reason, at 1:30 in the morning each. And so my sleep last night was quite disturbed. But I'm hopefully doing well now. I've got my cocoa, and I've got you guys, and I've got a roaring fire here on the moon base at Crater Valley. And I have Dog Cat Fox at my side, cuddling up at my feet. Hello, Dog Cat Fox.
Wowie, wow, wow.
Yes, Dog Cat Fox says Merry Christmas to you all. So what's going on? What's new and exciting? How are you guys doing? Oh, man. It's been a stretchy, tired day or so for me, for reasons that really don't matter here. It's Merry Christmas. It's fine. Everything's going to be better. It's going to be a better new year, right? We're going to have a much less insane 2023 than we did 2022, right? I hope, fingers crossed. You know, can we not have war? Can we get on with our lives? Holy cats! Bubba Hotep, thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Do with this as you wish. Well, I thank you so much, Bubba. That's amazingly generous. Thank you. I will do with that as I wish, and I'm going to use it for something beyond myself, I'll just say. That kind of generosity I can't help but have to pass along to others. So thank you so much, Bubba. That's amazing of you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Hope everyone's doing well. And there's a lot to celebrate. Speaking of which, up at the top of the chat box, if you'll see some fundraisers there for our friends Moonshock, Angry Illinoisian, and his kitten. On the maybe Christmas miracle good news side of things, Moonshock just had a report from his doctor. He put this out on Twitter the other day that as far as they can tell, they got rid of all of the cancer. And so Moonshock is now in a position that nobody wants to be, but that we are all glad that he is in. He is now a 2-time cancer survivor. So all the best to Moonshock and his family and everybody. That's great news. But along with that diagnosis, that happy diagnosis, comes with certain burdens that are unavoidable in the medical industry, as it were. So if you have a couple of spare dollars, please consider sending them along to either Moonshock, Angry Illinoisian, or his kitten. They, their friends and families are experiencing some hardships right now, and they could certainly use the help, especially this time of year. So guys, thank you so much for your generosity, whether it's to me or anybody else, but most especially right now, congratulations to Moonshock, and I hope he's on his way to a speedy recovery. Anyway, so what do I have planned today? Well, I got kind of a mixed bag. I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't plan on doing an endless day-long show or anything, but I have a couple of videos that go on for hours, and I'm not quite sure how that works. So here's what I got. Here's my bag of fun. I have 3 relatively brief diversity consultant promotional videos, which I don't know what they are. I just have them in my archive, and they were just sitting there, and I have a police interrogation, one of my favorite police interrogations. Of course, how I do a whole police interrogation without just sitting and letting it run for 2 hours, I'm not quite sure. And lastly, and here's the most random one, I have election night coverage from 2016 from one of the most liberal outlets I know of that no longer really exists. Veterans of my channel may remember a little outlet called Fusion, which I did a plethora of videos on their content because they were all over the place. They predated Splinter because Fusion became Splinter because, you see, they were fused and then they were splintered because they hated Donald Trump and stuff. But yeah, they did an election night coverage, a big panel discussion coverage, and it's hilarious to watch. Most of the people on the panel absolutely losing their minds because the broadcast comes in about late into the night where the election results are already coming in for Donald Trump, and they are progressively, no pun intended, but I'll take it, going crazy over the idea that Trump is going to now send the deportation squads all over the place. I always found it amazingly entertaining in a very schadenfreude way. So I have that. We can watch segments out of that if you'd like. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to just be a jukebox tonight. What do you guys want to watch? You want to do a diversity promo? You want to see a little bit of a police interrogation and have me explain some backstory? You tell me in the chat. What do you like best? You guys tell me. Let's see. Expo on the white elephant gift, I got the lower end of the totem pole. I got gag socks that are 4 sizes too small. Well, you put them on your hands then. They're mittens. That's what they are. They're mittens. But yeah, you guys tell me, what would you like to hear? Oh, our RVDR, yeah, Mystery Fusion videos. Well, that's because Fusion doesn't exist anymore. Fusion went out of business. Well, Fusion effectively died when Splinter was created, and then Splinter died because, the company got sold off and nobody was watching their stuff, and they were practically irrelevant. So I can't really make Fusion videos anymore, or Splinter videos. So let's see. Resolute Germ, is Fusion the one that had the woman openly crying? That was funny. A couple of people got emotional. Yeah, I remember there's one lady that gets emotional at one point. I don't remember exactly where. Somnambulation says Sunday is the day for diversity. You know what? Let's at least start off with one of those because they're only like 5 minutes long each or something like that. So let's see. Which one of these 3 shall we do? How to hire for true diversity, 4 missteps when recruiting for diversity, or inclusive recruitment. You can't hire your way out of a diversity issue. Ooh, let's try that one. Because since diversity really is about aesthetics, what would you suggest otherwise when it comes to solving a diversity problem, if not hiring your way out of it. Uh-oh. What happened there? Okay, well, that's not good. Let's try something. Yeah, the fireplace has had a technical issue, guys. 1 second here. Oh, I see what I did. I need to put the .mp4 at the end, otherwise it doesn't know it's a video file. There we go. All right, so this one's only about 5 minutes long. Let's give this one a shot and see what we get. Whoa! All right, see change happen. And their symbol is a color wheel. How appropriate. See change happen. All right. Inclusive recruitment and selection approaches. Okay, we're going to get some advice here, guys. This is how we're going to solve our diversity issue, I guess. A bit loud, says Bex Bubba Hotep. Okay, hopefully it'll quiet down a second when the rock music stops. But we'll see. No, go ahead.
Hello. Today, I would like to talk to you about...
What? I thought my sound was off. What? Okay. I didn't... Okay. All right. You caught me off guard. What can I tell you?
About inclusive recruitment. Let's start by saying you can't hire your way out of a problem you already have.
Uh-huh.
You're not going to fix your culture. You're not going to create suddenly engaged employees if your culture's wrong. So going straight into the hiring process is not the answer.
Okay, so I've got to change my culture before I even do any hiring. Well, how have I assessed that I have a problem in the first place? What tells me that my culture is broken and needs fixing? What are the indicators of that to begin with? You're not going to be one of those people, please, that diagnoses a problem with a solution but does not tell us what the problem actually entails, are you? I have a feeling it might be the case.
So if that's where you are now, I recommend you stop and start thinking about your current culture.
In what way?
Next, I'll ask you, what is your why? What are you trying to achieve?
That is a very good question. What are the indicators that I have something to solve?
By thinking and talking about inclusive recruitment. Is it just the right thing to do?
It's the right thing to do. It's a moral question. What's the business case? If I'm doing this as a matter of hiring and everything else, there has to be a business case to implement this. No, it's not about virtue. It's not about morals here. You have to tell me this.
Of course, that's a great motivation. Is it because you actually have a tangible business benefit that you're looking to try and solve?
That would be the most salient argument if there's a business case for this move. But you first need to tell me, what are the indicators of a problem culture that your suggestions are going to remedy?
More representation.
More representation, right. On the basis of what?
Of women in the senior leadership roles, maybe more representation of people who are black or brown or other people of color.
Yeah, okay, so I'm recruiting on the basis of aesthetics, right? Okay.
Overrepresented with white people, overrepresented with men. That's what we're trying to solve. To be more...
Okay, well, I'm glad for the clarification. I'm going to back up a little bit, let the whole thing play out, because in a rare instance, someone doesn't have a filter in being very specific about what they see as the problem and what they see as the solution. I appreciate that.
Representation of women in the senior leadership roles, maybe more representation of people who are black or brown or other people of color. You're overrepresented with white people, overrepresented with men. That's what you're trying to solve, to be more aligned with your customers. Those are great reasons to focus on it.
More aligned with my customers. So my customers don't include specific genders and races? Oh, okay.
So I'd say have your why. What are you trying to achieve? What problem are you trying to solve?
Well, you've already just told us what the problem is, so.
Then think about your goals and objectives. And I'm not talking about targets or quotas or anything like that here.
No, of course, you wouldn't be talking about targets or quotas or something. That might, if you actually stated that or made a company state that in their material, that might put them in some legal entanglements. So yeah, no.
What are you trying to achieve? How do you know if you've been successful in any reclusive recruitment initiatives?
Well, yes, you have to have a metric. If you're not talking about targets, if you're not talking about quotas, then what are you talking about? How do you measure success?
So think about the speed of change. Where do you want to be by 2025, by 2030?
Well, how can I know where I want to be if I don't assess how I'm measuring success? No targets, no quotas. Well, okay, well, if in another universe, if I was someone looking for a diversity consultant to help me with my business and everything, you've already lost my business because you've completely contradicted yourself and you're making no sense whatsoever.
What's the trajectory? What are you aiming for? Are you looking for specific representation in your talent pipeline, or are you just simply looking to just broaden your reach?
What does any of that mean? You've already lost it. You have no idea what you're talking about, do you?
Let's remember, there is no magic bullet. I can't give you one blueprint that says this is how you fix everything.
Well, you've definitely undersold yourself then.
But there are things you can do to focus on a more inclusive approach to recruitment.
Like?
I'm also keen that we talk about how we can track and measure, because we've got our goals, we've got our objectives, we know where we're trying to get to.
But you just said not to have targets or quotas. You weren't talking about those. So yeah, we have to have some way to measure success. All right.
Are we tracking and measuring? How do we know if we're achieving what we set out to achieve?
Yes.
So it's important we collect data at all stages.
But not have targets or quotas?
It's important we understand who is entering our funnel, or more to the fact, who isn't entering our funnel.
Who isn't entering our funnel? Okay. Might I wonder on what basis you assess someone not entering the funnel?
Where these people are in our process, where we're losing people. Are we losing people at the first sift? Are we not getting the right CVs? And we're not attracting candidates from diverse backgrounds in the first place. Then we can ask ourselves, why not? Why aren't we? And then we have a choice. We can either plow on with the current set of data, the current set of candidates we've got, or we can stop, pause, reflect, and readjust.
Dare I wish for an active example of what you're talking about?
Because it's important we start looking at our employer branding, recruitment marketing, even the EVP, the employer value proposition. What stories are we telling through our website, through our social media, the imagery? What does it look like from the outside?
I don't know. What does it look like? What should it look like? What is an example of a messaging or a story that promotes inclusion and diversity and openness? I mean, what kind of words would you use on your website? Can you give us anything actionable here?
What are the optics at play here?
I don't know.
Because we're trying to attract people that we're not currently attracting. Then what do we look like from the outside?
I don't know. What elements specifically attract a particular skin color? You tell me what elements are common attractors for people on the basis of their melanin count.
And sometimes we need to be really honest with ourselves that we don't look that attractive to many people. So again, we can't hire our way out of this. We've got to think about that in our culture, in our branding, in our imagery, and our messaging. And not just around when we're doing this inclusive recruitment campaign. We've got to start thinking about this as being something we do all the time. And our recruitment marketing should just dovetail into our current social media strategies or other marketing strategies. So we're reinforcing the brand at all times. Then I'd ask, are you looking at best practice around inclusive recruitment, anonymizing or even removing CVs completely from the process using objective-based questions?
Like, what's an objective-based question that would promote diversity and reduce sameness? What would you look for in a CV to say this is rejected? Like, if you're only looking at the curriculum vitae, if you're only looking at someone's work history, skills, experience, and so on, what would you put as an exclusion point to increase diversity?
There are many tech platforms out there that can help you with this.
Oh, is one of them Hive Diversity? Oh, please tell me you're going to name drop Hive diversity. Probably not.
Are you reviewing your absolute requirements for roles? Because we know that we're often asking for too much. A degree when a degree is not necessary. A particular university when a particular university is not necessary.
Okay, a degree may not be necessary, but a degree in and of itself is evidence of someone working towards a goal and sticking to it over the course of years. I mean, that's oftentimes what a degree, a certification shows. It's not necessarily the certification itself. The degree may or may not apply directly to the job being sought, but a degree is a sign of a work ethic. Something that is tangible, that is in some way representative of the person's character as a worker. So sometimes a degree is shorthand for this person can stick to a goal and achieve it. You know, it's not the greatest indicator of such, but it is a tangible indicator of such. You know, it's not much guesswork there. If someone actually has a degree in something, they did some kind of work towards achieving it. Okay, that is the utility oftentimes of degrees when you're doing job interviews and things like that. Like have at least a 4-year degree or something like that. They'll say in the job description or in the job posting. Yeah, it's not necessarily about what you know. It's that you can demonstrate that you're willing to work for something.
Years and years of experience. Well, again, that's not necessary.
Years and years of experience when it's not necessary. What jobs are you talking about? Are you talking about entry-level stuff? Because that's where I could see maybe that argument working. But if you're talking about like high-end supervisory roles or technical positions or things like that, I don't know that people would want to be rolling the dice and hiring somebody, training them up, if the entire purpose of their presence there is built on a castle of sand.
So we need to look at our requirements, look at what we're putting out there and really saying, does that really matter to the role? Or this is the kind of person we're looking for?
The kind of person? What kind of person?
Just got to be careful that we're not using our biases to imagine who the best candidate is, because the best candidate will vary. And don't fall back on the old adage of meritocracy.
Don't fall back on the old adage of meritocracy. Oh, okay. So when I'm hiring somebody for a position in my company, I should just set aside their possessing the skills and abilities necessary to fulfill the role. Oh, okay. So if I'm just doing away with their CV, if I'm ignoring everything about what actually makes them worthy of taking on this role, okay, what should I be looking at?
Because meritocracy means different things to different people.
No, it means different things for different circumstance. If I have a job that requires this technical knowledge, a person coming to the table who does not have that technical knowledge is out the window, right? It doesn't make them a worthless person. It doesn't make them incapable of working in a different department or with a different skill set. For the sake of that role, it makes them unqualified. That's all that means. What are you talking about?
So think about the true needs of the role you're trying to recruit.
Well, if the true need of the role I want to recruit for requires elements of merit, I can't make meritocracy a non-issue, can I? Unless you're talking about things that do not denote merit, like aesthetics, which I have a sneaking suspicion is what you're talking about here.
And then we get to the point where we're actually engaging the candidates, start to prepare for the interview and the interview process as well. Think about being flexible. Think about who your process isn't accessible for.
Think about who my process isn't accessible for. Okay, well, that's some out-of-the-box thinking there. In what way? Do you have any examples? You're offering yourself up as some kind of professional on this. You can give us an example that you've encountered in the course of your work where this was this way and it should have been this way.
Prepare questions in advance. Again, being objective, not just making it up on the day. Consider how your panel looks from the outside. Are you going to struggle when you get people coming in for interview, when they're looking at the people in the room thinking, well, hang on a minute, you don't represent me?
Oh. You don't represent me. Okay, so beforehand, we have to, A, know what our candidate looks like. Okay? I mean, oftentimes, all you've got is a resume with a name on it. Okay, so if I see a name, then I have to make an assessment. Guys, before we do this interview, okay, the name on this thing looks awfully insert race or gender here. Okay, so we need to make sure that the interview panel looks like them. That's your strategy here. You want to tokenize your own workforce in the interview process to make the candidate feel comfortable on the assumption that they are either a racist and or a sexist. Right? Because that's what you're saying. You're assuming that candidates coming in for interviewing for jobs are both racist and or sexist. Otherwise, they wouldn't feel comfortable in a room with people who, quote unquote, don't represent them. That's a great outlook. That's a great outlook. Okay. So you're hoping and anticipating that everybody is as racist and sexist as you are. Wonderful.
So lots of things you can do here, and I've just touched on a few of them.
Uh-huh.
I'd love to have a conversation. We can dive deeper in some of these practices, and I do run a lot of training courses on how we can be more inclusive in our recruitment processes.
Okay.
So my name is Joanne Lockwood. I am the founder and CEO of See Change Happen.
Uh-huh.
We are an inclusion and belonging specialist.
Yes.
And we work with organizations throughout the UK promoting positive people experiences.
Positive people experience. Ah, yeah, it's very positive. I feel very energized now. Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, all right. Not going to have the loud rock music again. Not going to have the loud rock music again. Okay. So, all that being said, what did you guys think of that one? Let's do some after effect discussion here. I'll put the fireplace back on. There we go. What did you guys think of that one? Put your comments in the comments place there. Keeverdam says it was cringe. Yeah, just a little bit, especially that opening couple of seconds. The contrast in expectation versus outcome was something else. That was something else. Some emulation says, but it's DeQuandra Hernandez Smith. Yeah, what do you do? What do you do in that situation when you have to assess somebody solely on their name? And I thought you weren't supposed to do that in the first place. Resolute Germ, that was one creepy dude. Yeah. And no one nowhere, par for the course. Pretty much. I mean, I at least appreciate the fact that there was that transparency of purpose. Right. I mean, they tried to dance around it here and there, tried to couch some language, but ultimately it's, yeah, we're not recruiting on the basis of someone's skills. We're trying to populate our workforce on the basis of appearance. We're turning people into window dressing. That's all there is. So, yeah, there you go. That was the first one. Do we want to do another one? Do we want to watch some 2016 election coverage from Fusion? We want to tell Christmas stories or something. You know how my uncle got caught in a chimney trying to be Santa Claus for Christmas, and nobody found him until Groundhog Day. That kind of no gremlins or something. Oh, by the way, just as a reminder, if you are interested in the greatest Christmas movie ever made, i.e. Die Hard, about a week ago, maybe a week ago, has it only been a week? Something like that. I was invited on a stream over at Midnight's Edge After Dark, where myself, Tom Connors, Script Doctor, and Fanzine just went whole hog on our love for Die Hard as a movie, as a Christmas film. It was a great chat with a bunch of other nerds, which I appreciated. So if you have a chance, go check that out at some point over on Midnight's Edge After Dark. You're ridiculous lunatic. I'm not saying I believe in phrenology, but sometimes I believe in phrenology. Yeah. Let's see. Should I judge our evil host by his name? How did you figure out I'm evil? Scribe light. I mean, it either means I write with photons, or I am a very cursory author, I suppose. One of the two. Evil One, Merry Christmas, Scribe. Ho, 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 all you maniacs. Merry Christmas, Evil One. Let's see, who else are there? Merry Christmas, Bishop. Who else is here? Merry Christmas, Emperor. God dang it. Emperor W.R. Costin. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, you ridiculous lunatic. Anybody else I missed along the way? Merry Christmas for the win, nil. Merry Christmas, Dr. Functional. Who else is here? Merry Christmas, St. Michael. Merry Christmas, K. Shull. Merry Christmas, a guy in his room. Merry White Colonialist Christmas all. Oh, thank you, a guy in his room. Go check out a guy in his room's YouTube channel. At one point in the past, I was interviewed by a guy in his room. Merry Christmas, Liesel7. Merry Christmas, Bridget. Scribelet, I am currently considered a minority where I am. The groups I joined with do not look like me. Some people don't even speak English, but maybe it's that good people make a welcome place. Yeah. Heaven forfend. We look at people on the basis of their actions and their character, more so than we do their hair color or their eye color, because those are as relevant to assessing someone as their skin color. I hope to see a day. Maybe I won't. It's going to take a long time. I hope to see a day where skin color is as relevant to people in assessing one another as eye color or hair color. As in, it's not. But, but color blindness, you're lying when you say you're not seeing race. Anyway, so what do we want to do next? We want to do election coverage? Want to do another diversity video? Let's see. Keeverdam says, Mike R is here too. Oh, Mike R. Well, Merry Christmas, Mike R. Hope you're doing well. And Merry Christmas, Rib Rascal. I'm catching people on the chat as they appear because there's kind of a delay. Is my super chat the first one Scribe has ever missed? Did I? Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. Dude, I'm sorry. I apologize. Chat is jumping all over the place, which is great. I love the activity, but I apologize for that. Mike R, thank you so much. Merry Christmas, chat and Scarlet. Merry Christmas, Mike. Sorry for that. Live TV. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry for that. Hope I made up for it. I'm scrolling up and trying to make sure I cover everybody who's popping in. And, Liesel says, I'm curious about the election coverage. Okay, well, on that note, how about we try that? Okay, so I'm going to be jumping around on this a bit because I don't know exactly where it begins.
We are going to fix.
Whoa, because it has a whole bunch of intro stuff. But, and I don't know what's copyrighted or not, so I'm going to jump around a little bit. They do a little... Oh, here we go. All right, just about a minute in. Okay, there we go.
Welcome to Election Night 2016. I'm Alicia Menendez. So much has happened and so much more is yet to come.
Oh, boy.
The big news is calls for two big swing states. Let's pull those up right now.
Yeah.
Those states, Ohio, for Donald Trump. He is the projected winner in Ohio and in Florida with its 29
when the commentary
electoral
starts...
votes. Donald Trump, the projected nominee. The polls have now closed in 49 states and the District of Columbia. I've given you some of the very latest projections. In a little bit, I'm going to be giving you...
I like how they already called all the Western states as blue. They didn't even have to think about it. They just know. Even though those are the last polls to close, they just already know. California, Washington, Oregon, yeah, they're locked. Yeah, and they're not wrong. I just love how the rest of the country is like up for grabs at that point.
You some more. I'm going to be joined in a little bit by my colleague and Fusion host Nando Vila and a whole assortment of political experts here. I don't know if we have Nando set up over there. We do. Nando, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Thank you so much, Alicia. I'm back here with Andrew Joyce, our map expert. Andrew, talk to me. What's going on right now? It looks like it's coming down to Wisconsin and Michigan, possibly. What's going on there?
That's exactly right. So Wisconsin and Michigan in the Clintons' baseline scenario, they have that as solid blue. Now, if that changes, that throws everything out of whack. But let's assume for a second that it's still early. There's not a lot of vote count in. Let's say they're going to go blue when the day ends. that means that the Clinton campaign can still think about their original game plan, which is they can lose Florida, they can lose Ohio, they can even lose New Hampshire as long as they win
New
Nevada.
Hampshire.
Exactly.
New
Now,
Hampshire.
I've been seeing some information about some of these counties in the Upper Peninsula here in Michigan that are, heavily white working class, and which Obama won in 2008 and 2012, are now going big against.
How could he possibly
for
have
Trump
won
against Clinton? What the hell is going on there?
Well,
They voted for the black guy, and now they're not.
That's an excellent point, and I would say that two things are going on there. One,
they're not inherently racist, and they assess who they're going to vote for on the basis of what they believe about the person. Maybe heaven forfend.
you can the white people in these rural counties really do think that trade is a major issue. They don't trust Hillary Clinton on trade. They don't trust Hillary Clinton on the economy, which is what polls show. But another thing that's really interesting that we've explored a little bit at fusion.net is that there are a number of counties, white counties in Michigan, in Wisconsin, that have some of the highest levels of change in their diversity rates.
Right.
So they have
Oh my
they are
gosh.
majority white counties that are seeing an influx of people from Hispanic origin. Now, it's not like border towns where those people are slowly becoming, a major chunk, a plurality, or
Right.
if not a sizable, section of the population.
Oh, hey, Merry
Stuff
Christmas,
like
Spiral Girl.
majority.
Merry
It's
Christmas,
still
Lexi Mads.
90% white up here, but you're with that.
Merry
move
Christmas,
from
Woodcutter.
97 to 90% white in some of these
Right.
rural counties. That scares a lot of those white rural working class voters. And so immigration, I think, is motivating people up here in a way that I don't think people talk
Right.
about.
Okay, so wait, the white middle-class rural voters who voted for Obama, because they're seeing quote-unquote diversity come into their states, now they're scared, so they're going to vote for Donald Trump out of fears over diversity, even though they were the same states and counties that voted for Obama. Are you guys, I know we're years and years after the fact, but really, is that how you square that circle? Guys, huh?
And I saw a lot of stories earlier in the week about early Latino turnout in Las Vegas, Nevada. Some people very surprised by how en masse the Latino community came out and voted early. Is that still relevant, or is Nevada looking more shaky right now?
I think so. So in Nevada, according to Dave Wasserman, who's a longtime insider Democratic strategist, he looked at some of those early vote totals, and he basically said that Hillary Clinton, if we assume that 9 out of 10 Democrats vote for Hillary Clinton and 9 out of 10 Republicans vote for Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton banked a lead of almost 73,000 votes in early votes alone here in Nevada. But here's the thing. In order that only about 400,000 people at most are going to vote, were projected, I should say, to vote on election day in Nevada. We're seeing pretty high turnout everywhere. And so that could change. And believe it or not, that could actually be a good thing for Donald Trump.
Right.
Because that means that the amount of leeway he has to erase that 73,000 vote margin gets a lot bigger.
It's interesting because usually higher turnout favors Democrats, correct?
That's true. And I should say that's still the case here largely. All that means is that if we really
I just want to let you guys know, we're still in good shape, guys. It's not dead yet. It's not dead yet.
Let's use Trump's term, silent majority.
Right.
Then he might eke it out in Nevada.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Andrew. We'll be watching this all night. We're all very nervous. Back to you, Alicia.
All right, Nando. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you both so much. We have a number of other projections coming in at this hour. California, with its 55 electoral votes, going to the projected winner, Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Hawaii, with its 4 electoral votes, also going to Hillary Clinton. Idaho, with its 4 electoral votes.
Idaho, Idaho.
Trump. Obviously, there are a number of states that we're going to continue to call. Before we get to those, though, I have to ask you guys. Ohio. I mean, you had told me, Beatty, before we started that she probably wasn't going to win Ohio, but Ohio is normally a state that we would be talking about tonight.
Merry Christmas, Sir Adamantine.
What's the deal in Ohio?
I'm not surprised.
Merry Christmas, exhumed legume.
The Clinton campaign kind of gave up on Ohio about a month ago.
Yes, the main moderator is pregnant at this time.
Had pretty much been maintaining anywhere from a 1 to 5 point lead there. What was always striking to me is if Ohio went to Trump, what was that going to mean to the adjacent states? What did that mean for Pennsylvania? What did that mean for Michigan? We'll find that out soon enough.
Because they share demographics?
Because they share some demographics. I mean, Michigan is more diverse than Ohio, but they share media markets. They're not that dissimilar. And they have a lot of working class white folks, which is what everybody says really matters in this election. So we'll see if Ohio is the outlier and Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan end up staying blue.
You know, we talk so much, Rashad, at the beginning of this thing about the Black vote, about the Latino vote. And I have a feeling that we're going to spend a lot more of this evening talking about the white vote than we necessarily
Because they're all monoliths and they all go a particular way based on their race.
You know, there was a lot of conversation heading into this. Was there a white silent vote? Was there a Trump voter that we were not seeing? And that's exactly what the polls didn't capture. I mean, you know, I remember back to 2012, the night of 2012, when Karl Rove was sitting there surprised about the Black turnout and was surprised that Black turnout hit the numbers that it did and was like, this can't be right. Why are you calling this state? And I think we're seeing the same thing. I think it is.
Yeah, there's like some banging going on in the background. This is a really high quality production, guys. So they're like still moving lights around and stuff in the background.
Of America, to Obama's America, to people feeling like they're losing their country. You know, I'm watching and talking on social media. I'm hearing from undocumented activists who are being told, get ready to be deported.
And we're going to talk about that. But I think, you know, I think part of what's
I got a feeling that if you're an undocumented activist in the first place, it has nothing to do with you being an activist. It might have something to do with the fact that you're not in the country legally. And that's something that I found over the course of the time doing my channel during the time that Trump was president. I do these stories and look at these videos talking about people being deported by Trump. But if you actually, oftentimes, if you actually looked up the information on the person they were talking about and not just taking the video on face value, you found out that their visa or their asylum case had been overturned or denied under Obama. It's just that Obama elected not to deport people for the longest time and gave them effectively waivers for several years. But when Trump came into office, he was just like, let's enforce all of the rejected asylum things. And most of those happened under Obama. But yeah, if you have fear of being deported, a lot of times it was fear of actually having your deportation take place that was essentially in limbo for 8 years.
It's important when we talk about a backlash to the diversification of America is that underneath it is some real economic angst, right? I mean, it's not a one-dimensional form of xenophobia or a one-dimensional form of a fear of change. So much as there's actual tangible concerns taking place that have nothing to do with race or hatred, but just general survival and economic well-being. Yeah, but you still have to tag those concerns with an air of hatred, don't you? Much as the fact that if you are, you know, economically stagnant, if you were making the same wages that you were making when George Bush took office, then you were angry and you were rightfully angry. And all you needed was someone to step in and say, blame the other.
Well, I mean, yes, there's economic angst, but when you turn around and you blame it on people of color and women, that's racism. And so
you're the guys putting the hatred onto it. You don't know what they're thinking. If, like the lady said, if I'm making the same money now that I was under Bush, if nothing changed under Obama, and Obama represented the Democrats, and the very states and counties that you've mentioned voted for Obama that are now looking like at this time voting for Trump, maybe the concern has nothing to do with race, but everything to do with well-being. But no, you guys have to make it about race and sexism, don't you?
And I think sometimes we want to call things economic angst that poor people who are people of color are not having economic angst as well.
Wait, poor people of color are not having economic angst. Are you? I haven't watched this in a long time, and I never watched it with nearly as much of a critical ear. Are you listening to yourself right now? Oh, you know, poor people of color are not having economic angst. They're happy being poor.
Their wages are not going down as well. And so to the extent that we sometimes are
Merry Christmas, Ebony Williams.
Talk about the backlash to changing demographics, the ways that people are feeling that their country is being taken away from them because folks are looking different. Music sounds, when they turn on TV shows look different. Music sounds different. They want to make America great again.
You don't want to, you don't even want to take the chance of looking at people as people, and that if their concerns are truly as common denominator, is my life, is my income better now than it was under Obama? If the answer is no, then maybe they're looking for change and not looking for race. You can't even allow for that possibility. It has to be racism. It has to be hatred. It can't be something as unifying as, am I better off now than I was 4 years ago? And just make it on that pragmatic basis. No, it has to be hatred.
They are not just talking about pre-trade. They are talking about leave it to Beaver. They are talking about a certain type of picture of America. And if we are unafraid to sort of fully have that conversation, then we will get the wrong results from any type of work that we do moving forward. There was a GOP autopsy done on the last election, and there were many people on the outside who said, actually, no, like, you don't need to diversify. You need to talk to us because we haven't been voting for a Mitt Romney or a John McCain because we don't think they've been going hard enough on things like immigration, on things like policing on Black communities. And I do think that Donald Trump spoke to that. And I don't think it was simply about the economy. But
yeah, okay. So the old adage from the Clinton campaign, from the Carville era, it's the economy, stupid, doesn't apply anymore. Again, there aren't any sort of like basic needs that people want when it comes down to their lives and what they hope that their government is going to do. Improve the economy, improve their lives, improve their incomes, improve their family situations. No. Our first and major concern, all of us in this country, is the race of the person in the White House. Even though your own experts just reaffirm the fact that the counties and states going for Trump as well went for Obama in large numbers the first time around. But okay.
I actually don't agree entirely. I think that, we can't talk about these issues in silos. I think that there's a lot of overlap between issues. I mean, you're right. So much of this does stem from fear of the other and exploitation of racism and exploitation of bias. But at the end of the day, you have to also recognize the overlap with the economic angst that exists because
okay, well, no, you're not doing, I mean, you're finding some kind of weird middle ground where it's like, well, I mean, it's not just one thing, there's overlap. Well, that's exactly what he just said. That you're not disagreeing with him. You're being very diplomatic in agreeing with him, just using different words.
You have, white rules, and I can speak to Nevada because that's where I'm from, but you have, white rules that are experiencing extreme economic angst just as much as my predominantly Latino areas or my predominantly Black areas of town, right? And they're very, very different communities and very, very, frankly, different people with different perspectives, but it's very, very easy to manipulate that economic angst and then turn it into, of course, their fear of the other.
Well,
that's exactly what he was saying. You're not saying anything different.
So we're not saying this different.
But I want
yeah, see, even he realizes you said the exact same thing he did.
Part of what I want to do is bring in Izzy here because, we keep coming back to this autopsy report. And I think Rashad brings a point, which is that there was a question of, do you lean out or do you lean in? I mean, what is the message tonight to Republicans, win or lose?
So I think, obviously, white voters have come out in massive amounts of numbers. And white women and white men have voted for Donald Trump. That's what the exit polling is saying. But I think what the message from the GOP, it's going to have to retool, because if we sweep everything, right, what is going to be the message to attract, let's say, a Hispanic or an African-American to join and run as a Republican? It's going to get tough. You're not going to win the urban districts. We're only going to keep pushing ourselves further and further to this niche and silo that we keep speaking about. But what I'm looking forward to is maybe redistricting is going to be an opportunity where we get to change the landscape. And
oh, you mean gerrymandering? Or Gary-mandering, as would be more accurate? the thing that's always being railed against on the other side of the aisle all the time? Okay.
I also think we need to bring more minorities to actually participate in the primaries so that we elect people that look like us, that sound like us, so we can talk about.
Listen to this. People who look like us, that sound like us, on a panel where everybody is different from the other. Okay, if this was an entirely white panel of people and they said that exact same statement, what would you think about that person? All right, what would someone on the outside think of that person? If Donald Trump was the one sitting there saying that exact same line, what would these guys think of that statement?
About policies that actually matter. And I will say one last thing. I think this election is partially people are upset about jobs being lost, jobs being automated. They're blaming it on trade. But also, I think it's a referendum on Obamacare in some of these states. Premiums are going up, and it's affecting the pocketbooks of people.
Oh, you mean it's actually about the economy, stupid? Wow.
All right. Well, we're going to come back to that question in a bit. And again, we're going to have a lot of time to talk tonight.
Yeah, so there's a part that I remember that I'm going to jump to if I can find it here, because there's one particular guy they go, this man on the street stuff is terrible. I remember the audio quality is terrible, the content is terrible. There's nothing worthwhile going on there. There's one part where they jump to one of their correspondents or something, and he gives like this little report. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, boy, oh boy. Is this it? This might be it. Let's see.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about the future of parties, the future of governance. But before we do that, I want to bring in my colleague from Univision, Leon Krause. He's joining us from California, you know, that critical battleground state. Leon, you are watching this along with the rest of us. What do you make of it?
Oh, Alicia, what can I say? I envy the joy with which you all approach the news of Trump's apparent triumph in the election. I'm frankly quite worried. I've been thinking about what am I going to say tomorrow morning to my immigrant son, who's been singing Hamilton and talking about the power of immigrants and how this country was built by immigrants, and now a man who has built his campaign around nativism will probably be elected the president of the United States. I'm dismayed. I'm incredibly sad, Alicia, honestly.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, gosh, my son has been singing about Hamilton. You know, democracy, power of the people. You know, the guy on the $10 bill, what's that about economies again?
Leon, I have to say, I think that there are a lot of people who are watching who feel the same way you do. And I think part of the reason that we are continuing to talk about potential outcomes is because there is, in fact, quite a bit on the line for the communities that you just mentioned, for Muslim Americans, for immigrants of all stripes, for women. And we will pivot to that conversation when that time comes. And for now, it remains a possibility.
Yeah, so keep it light. Keep it light, dude. Let's not talk about all the gloom and doom yet, even though we're talking about nothing but racism and sexism all over the place.
But an increasing possibility. You, of course, in the state of California, and there are a number of other interesting races that are happening there. Anything that you are keeping your eye on in order to distract yourself from this presidential?
Yeah, stay on track, dude. I don't want to hear about your philosophy or your gloom and doom. Tell us about what's going on in California. That's your job.
Well, yes, there's a Senate race that just ended. Kamala Harris, the Attorney General of California, will be going to Washington, D.C. She will make history. She defeated handily Representative Loretta Sanchez, who was going to make history herself. She was going to become the first Latina senator, but Kamala Harris prevailed.
Yeah, and she would go on to completely fail in her presidential run and not even get her own state. She didn't even win her own state.
By 66% of the vote, so it's a clear victory for Kamala Harris.
And really interesting, Leon, right? Because this is a jungle primary where you had two Democratic candidates up against each other in a general election. Do you think that after this primary, Californians are going to be even bigger proponents of jungle primaries, or do you think that they're going to reconsider?
That's a very good question. I think that the system works well for California because it very clearly represents the political makeup of the state. Under 28%, 28% of citizens in California, voters in California, registered as Republicans. So I think it very clearly represents the makeup of the state.
Okay, I don't know how interesting this is going to be. Yeah, his opening thing where he's like, I'm dismayed. I don't know what to tell my son. You tell your son that, you know, you didn't win. Losing is a lesson of life. I don't know what to tell you. Gosh, where? Yeah, see, this is the thing. This thing is like 4 hours long. But I thought I'd give you a taste of that. You can look this up. It's still online, amazingly, at this, as far as I know. If you look up Fusion 2016 election coverage, you can find it. If I was a more professional individual, I would have found timestamps of interesting parts of this, but I haven't watched the whole thing in years. So let's move on to something else. How about another diversity video? How about we try that? If I haven't completely screwed things up here. Let's see. We did the inclusive recruitment. What's next? And any other? Well, here. Let me. Sorry, guys. I know professional. Nothing but professional here. Let me pull up. Yeah. Come on, computer. You can do it. You can do it. Let's take a break for a moment. Take a moment. And back to our fireplace. Our soothing, crackling fireplace. Okay. So, everybody, I would like to know either what this year so far has been your favorite Christmas gift you've received, or the Christmas gift you're most proud of delivering unto someone else. Because with Sister Scribe, my sister is a genius in the last several years when it comes to gift giving. She'll like come up with the most amazingly perfect oddball gifts that you wouldn't have expected. Like my father, he's an old man, and he's old enough to remember being a kid and listening to the old Captain Midnight radio shows, well, on the radio. And my sister was aware of this. So my sister, she found on eBay a Captain Midnight secret decoder badge. You know, the thing you'd actually send away for with your box tops in order that you could listen to the radio show and get the secret message, sort of like in Christmas Story. And she actually found one on eBay, and she made this little like shadow box thing of a Captain Midnight poster with a little old-time radio and a little can of Ovaltine and the badge in there, and she framed it, and it's great, and it's like the most amazing gift that you wouldn't have expected. And she gave this to my dad last year, and it was, you know, she just went absolutely to the mat to find something and create something that was so customized and special. And so I'm very envious of her because she's great with this, and I'm terrible with that. But I'm curious, what was your favorite gift this year, or the favorite gift you gave? So let's see. Rib Rascal, our family stopped exchanging gifts years ago, not out of spite, out of exhaustion. Okay, well, that works too. Let's see. JMK, socks. You received socks, or you gave socks? Mike R, I'm working today, so no presents for me. Okay, this isn't going how I hoped. Oh no. Let's see. Well, this quiz is going down real quick. Thank you. This is Kyle. Merry Christmas, chat people and scribbles. I got depression for Christmas. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, it was a Gundam movie, so the same thing, but in movie form. Okay. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for your generosity. Merry Christmas to you. I'm sorry you're not having a great Christmas, or you're having a Gundam Christmas. Whichever. Thank you so much. Scanner Daffley, I got a scratch-off ticket that was $2, but won me a couple hundred. Well, hey, congratulations. You don't usually hear that. Well, good for you. Well, great. You can go have a merrier Christmas on the base of that. That's great. Congratulations, Daffley. That's wonderful. JMK, warm feet are best. It's true. I got some fuzzy slippers for Christmas that I'm wearing right now. My feet are nice and toasty. Ooh, toasty feet. Evil One, one more year of my 95-year-old grandmother with me, my close family member left alive. I'm happy for that. Congratulations to her. That's a long run to have. I hope she's doing well and does well further on for as long as possible. Keever Dam, I made a homemade card for my mother. Good. I had a coworker who, like, their hobby was making these crazy custom greeting cards for people, like with cutouts and little 3D things and like collages, and they were just, you know, individual works of art that weren't mass produced. It was great. Anthem Ward, I'm driving a semi truck back to Bay after solving other people's Christmas memories. Okay, that sounds mysterious. Like you have it, like some kind of superhero movie where it's like, is a semi truck driver roaming the country solving people's problems. It's quantum 18-wheeler. Something? I don't know. And Merry Christmas, Anthem Ward, if I didn't already say so. Let's see. An Evil One again. My 95-year-old grandmother is in better shape than me. Oh, good for her. Good for her. All right. Well, let's go on to another promotional video. Let's learn something. How about the 4 missteps when recruiting for diversity? Try that out and see what happens. For good or ill.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jen Tardy, your diversity recruiting thought partner.
A thought partner? Oh, I haven't heard that before. A thought partner. Okay, well, let's see. This is hiring success for recruiters. Thought partner. All right. Hi, Jen.
And welcome to my channel with another exciting video.
I'm
Today,
excited. Yeah.
I will be talking about 4 missteps when recruiting to increase diversity.
Great.
I love making these videos where I get to give you steps or missteps, as in the case here, to keep in mind as it gives you a clear action to follow.
Well, I appreciate that. I would love some specificity and some clear advice on what to do, because our last diversity speaker really didn't do that. So I'm glad you're going to have it broken down into a brief 5-minute, 24-second bite-size educational video of 4 distinct steps I can follow. Okay.
By the way, if you are enjoying our videos, this is how you let me know.
Okay.
Subscribe to my channel and hit the notifications bell so you do not miss any videos in the future.
That is advice I give to all of you as well, and anybody watching in the future. If you like this kind of thing, my kind of thing, subscribe. Make sure you click the bell, because purportedly that tells you when I'm going to go live with things. I hear sometimes it doesn't work, but either way, the like button apparently is very good if you hit that. And also, whenever you go to a video of a creator you like, try to make it your habit to click that like button early on. Because sometimes I forget. I'll watch a video and it won't even occur to me to do so. I've tried to make it like sort of like brushing my teeth. I go to a video of a creator I like, and I know I'm going to enjoy their content, and I hit that like button. And if by the end of the video I don't enjoy their content for some reason, I can always rescind it. But I'd rather click it and then have to come back consciously to change it than forget all around. So anyway.
So let's get started.
Okay. Yeah. Depth. All right.
Here at our Increased Diversity channel, we are always sharing ways to promote diversity recruiting.
Yes.
But sometimes recruiters and hiring managers with really good intentions go about this work in a highly ineffective way. Now,
yes, well, we know the road to hell is paved with what again?
I would say wrong way, but we don't like that language here. So
what?
here.
Wait. You're willing to say incorrect, but you don't want to say wrong. They are synonyms, but okay.
The 4 common missteps that you must absolutely avoid when hiring people from untapped communities.
Untapped communities. There's our first red flag.
So, misstep number 1, thinking that this work is only about sourcing. And goodness, this is a common misstep in diversity recruiting.
What do you mean?
When recruiting for diversity, you must understand that it is not only about getting a more diverse pool of candidates, but also about removing bias from the hiring process too.
Okay, you want to remove bias from the hiring process, but you want to tap unrepresented communities, and you want to make sure your talent pool is diverse without employing bias. How?
The idea of recruiting for diversity is to give underrepresented people an equitable opportunity to apply, get hired, and eventually get promoted.
Without bias, but specifically for underrepresented people. Got it.
Yes, on merit, but that's a whole different topic.
Yes, on merit, but that's a whole different topic. No. Why isn't it part and parcel with the process? Why is that a different topic? Why is it? Good gravy.
Misstep number 2.
Oh, we're already there?
Thinking that visual diversity is acceptable.
Oh, it isn't? Well, how do I recruit from untapped representative groups or whatever if I'm not looking at visual diversity? Visual diversity is acceptable. Okay, well, okay, if you're going to say that you actually need diversity of thought, diversity of talent, diversity of actual experience and education, well, unfortunately, that's a topic for another day because that's merit. But what do you mean?
This means making assumptions about a person's race or gender or any other identifiable factors based on their name, appearance, or anything else.
But you want to recruit from diverse communities. You're making an assumption that people that look a particular way need a special consideration and help. That's the whole idea behind this. What is the point of a diversity initiative if not to assume that certain demographics need special consideration? You just completely contradicted yourself from your previous step.
The issue here is that you could be wrong, and it also just does not feel good to be sitting behind a computer scrolling through profiles on LinkedIn simply because you are assuming that people identify in specific ways.
Then why are you promoting divvying people up on the basis of demographic fit in the first place? Why are you even making appearance, skin color, race, etc. a factor? Why are you setting aside merit? If you put merit at the top of the consideration, in fact, it should be the only consideration, but at least the top of the consideration, then this becomes a minor problem very quickly. It doesn't become an issue about visual diversity if you're hiring the best people on the basis of merit. Oh, but that's a different topic. You are working at cross purposes for yourself here.
The safest way is to use a formal self-identification program to learn how others identify themselves.
Okay, well, how does that conversation go? What kind of program should that be? Do I make someone declare their race at the beginning of the process or their orientation? Is that a factor I need to broadcast that I'm making a consideration for in my hiring process? Do I need to just ignore the Civil Rights Act of 1964? Do I need to ignore the equal employment laws that say you cannot make those factors relevant in an employment process? Okay, how would you suggest I get someone to self-identify their race, their gender, their orientation in such a way that I'm not making it sound like I'm sifting on the basis of those things?
As long as it's legal in your country to have a self-ID program, which it is in the United States.
Yeah, it's legal to have someone self-identify so that you can totally not use that in your selection process. You see, we learned that from the Hive Diversity Executive several months ago now. For those of you that don't know, there's this app out there called Hive Diversity, although now they've changed their name to Hello Hive for reasons I can only guess. But either way, in an interview with one of their executives, by accident, I have to assume, they told the truth. And the truth is that their app, their recruitment app, their sort of pass-through for other companies, they have a 50% it encourages self-identification. If a person in their application or in the tell us about yourself section, if they volunteer the information about their race, about their gender, about their orientation, about whatever, if it's not asked of them directly, if it's not required of them on a checklist in the application process, then the company's in the clear. And obviously, the company would never use that information in making their selection process. But if someone wants to volunteer that information, well, I mean, it's there, right? That's the loophole. That's the dodge, right? The client corporation cannot require you to identify yourself or to make an issue of your race, your religion, your gender, your orientation, and so on. But if you just happen to mention it in sort of an open text box on an application form, and the recruiter sees that, I mean, it doesn't mean they're necessarily selecting you or rejecting you on that basis. But that's what that is. That's what it is. Yes, self-identification is fine in the United States. Companies cannot require to know these things of you inherently. That's the loophole. That's the dodge. That's what she's talking about here.
But before we get to the next misstep, I would also like to point you to another one of our videos on diversity recruiter best practices.
Oh, okay.
Because it's packed with tips for diversity recruiting.
Well, if the tips I'm hearing so far are any indication, I would be really interested in watching one of those, honestly.
Actually, one of the most popular videos that we have, and you can find the link below in the description.
Oh, maybe that'll be a Sunday stream for the future.
So moving right along.
Okay.
Next is misstep number 3.
Yes.
This one is thinking that you must hire someone based on how they identify, which is illegal.
This is the CYA portion of the presentation. So, just so you guys know, I understand that what I'm suggesting, what I'm implicating over the course of this thing, what the entire diversity process is based on, it is illegal. I'm aware. I'm aware. I don't know how I get around that and still create a career out of this, but yeah, no, it is illegal. Okay. All right. You're correct. You're correct. If I hire somebody purely on the basis of what they look like or who they sleep with or whatever else, and that is documented somewhere, if that is stated explicitly anywhere, I could be legally liable. You're correct. Okay. So what's the tip here?
That's right. Hiring someone based on how they identify is just as illegal as not hiring someone based on how they identify.
Now, let me tell you about our diversification process, which seeks to increase the number of unrepresented groups for hiring and promotion and diversifying your talent pool. Not on the basis of their appearance. No. That's not a factor you can consider when hiring, except that it's everything that I'm telling you need to do in order to successfully hire for diversity, but never mind.
Your goal as a recruiter is to create a diverse candidate pool.
How do you assess diversity? What counts as a diverse candidate? There have to be indicators. There have to be elements that distinguish a diverse candidate from a non-diverse candidate. Please list for me the common elements that indicate diversity. And I'll bet you my bottom dollar that you'll run into legal questionable territory immediately. But you keep going.
And then, as a hiring team, focus on removing biases so that you can hire the most competitive person.
No. You remove the biases on race, gender, orientation, and so on from the jump. That's what you do. You hire for merit. Period. That's what you do. If you want to avoid legal entanglements, you hire for merit, and you have a documented proof of that selection process. Because honestly, if I had a diversity consultant as part of my recruitment practice, and I was an outside investigator or auditor looking at this, that would be a red flag, not a sigh of relief when it comes to whether or not things are being conducted legally and fairly. A diversity process requires bias. There's no other reason to have it there unless you are actively employing bias in your hiring process. What is the goal of a diversity initiative? Give me a break, lady. Come on.
Now, for more on this, make sure that you check out our Increase Diversity LinkedIn newsletter called The Only Formula You Need to Increase Diversity.
Well, you just scrolled through it. So let's see. Rule number 1, generate a well-represented candidate pool. To increase diversity, the candidate pool must be well represented in spaces where there has been historical underrepresentation within your workplace. This requires an understanding of where your workplace is underrepresented compared to workforce availability. Is your workplace underrepresented among women, people of color, veterans, people with disabilities, the LGBTQ plus community, or other groups? Knowing where you are strategically working to increase representation is a huge first step in moving the needle towards increasing workplace diversity. Okay, so those elements which I am not allowed to consider in the hiring process, that I am not allowed to delineate people as they identify or as they look to me, is exactly what you are recommending I look towards to increasing diversity in my workplace. Are you even aware of your own contradiction? This is what is always so amazing to me. The law is very, very clear. They didn't leave any room to maneuver on this. There are specific elements of a person's makeup you are not allowed to consider or use as a value factor in employment. Okay? Race, gender, country of origin, religion, etc. Well, the things I'm missing in my head. Anyway, those big things. And they're all on this equal footing. They're listed off by commas. It's not like this, and this, and maybe this or this or that. No. You're not allowed. You're not allowed. But what are you recommending? These are the elements I'm supposed to be looking for as to what qualifies as what's being underrepresented. Well, how do I increase representation of those elements in my workforce unless I am hiring and or rejecting people on the basis of those elements? Come on.
The link to this newsletter is in the description below.
Uh-huh.
Misstep number 4.
Okay.
This is thinking that diversity recruiting is about hiring based on potential only.
Oh, no. I would never make that misstep. I would never make that misstep. I know that diversity recruiting has nothing to do with potential. It has nothing to do with personal merit. It has nothing to do with capability. It has everything to do with the aesthetics. No, don't get me wrong. I understand. But what are you going to say?
Now, though I understand the positive intent of hiring based on potential, I have a ton of thoughts around this.
I would love to hear your thoughts around not hiring based on potential, not hiring based on the idea that this person is going to grow into their job and become a valuable asset to the company over time on the basis of their skill, experience, and initiative. Tell me what we should be focusing on.
Here's just one of them. Hiring for potential as a key strategy in diversity recruiting can create a stigma that suggests that in order to increase diversity, we must soften the qualifications or hire unqualified people.
If your first concern is not personal merit and qualification, but is rather the aesthetic the person possesses, you are going to end up rejecting people who do not fit your visual requirements, regardless of their merit. What are you talking about?
And for that reason alone, I often urge companies to be careful when utilizing this philosophy. Now, if you want to hear more about that, check out our Increased Diversity LinkedIn newsletter called The Problem with Hiring for Potential as a Key Strategy to Increase Diversity. And you can also find that link below.
Okay, well, thankfully, you've already given us at least a screenshot of part of your article, so let's read that now. Here are 2 reasons why. Reason number 1, your hire for potential candidates are likely qualified already. Rather than creating a strategy to hire for potential, first reevaluate what your team perceives as qualified. Transferable skills, for example, do not make someone unqualified. What are you talking about? Transferable skills are a different way to be qualified. What? Avoid bringing up the strategy of hiring for potential until you have created a deep level of awareness around eliminating the bias baked into how we perceive who is and who is not qualified. Until we can effectively assess a person's knowledge, skills, and abilities without bias, there will continue to be too many individuals who are qualified to do the work that get overlooked because their skill sets are non-traditional. That is how powerful bias is. What? Okay, I don't even... This is me being like the kid in the math class. I need a story problem. I need an active example. I need a description of what you're talking about, like on the ground. Like, say, you know, Joe comes into the company as blah, and his supervisor Mary says da 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 da, something like that. I'm just dumb like that. Trying to read between the lines of this cookbook is giving me a headache.
Everyone, including candidates from marginalized communities, should be hired based on the actual value that they bring to the role today.
Yes, they should, but unfortunately, you are encouraging a first filter of aesthetic. That's it. Merit is at best a secondary consideration, if not a tertiary consideration in the hiring process, the way you've put it. And besides which, wherever in the recruitment or hiring process you have that filter for race, for gender, for orientation, that is the point at which you are breaking the law. I don't know what to tell you. That is why it is so clear-cut in the law that you're not allowed to use those things in assessing people for jobs. It's because the very presence of those considerations is the problem. But you're both encouraging it, but also reminding everybody, well, you're not allowed to actually hire on the basis of these things. I got to CYA here a little bit.
The problem, as we have found, is not in their value, but in our biased perceptions of value.
Yes, if your biased perception of value starts first and foremost with what the person looks like and whether or not they're going to make a good fit for representation, as you've defined it, yes, that is a bias we need to eliminate.
Friends, what do you think about the point that I just made a second ago?
I think I laid it out pretty clearly.
Let's get a conversation started in the comments below, and I'll be there waiting for you.
Oh, boy.
All right. I hope that this video was helpful for you. I am Jen Tardy, your diversity recruiting thought partner, and I'll see you in the next video.
Okay. Well, that was all sorts of special, wasn't it? I mean, now as an example of how diversity recruitment is just an inherent walking contradiction of itself, it was a good example. I will say she laid out very clearly where the philosophy of diversity hiring runs into the logic behind the law. And it was a good showcase of how it just doesn't work, especially the information on her newsletter and everything. So, hey, you know, in that regard, credit where credit is due. I learned something. Random American just stopped in to say Merry Christmas, Carly. Like, Merry Christmas, Random American. Hope you and yours are having a good Christmas. Scanner Daffley, how is a community marginalized if they are receiving preferential treatment in hiring? In that instance, I don't know. Some emulation, they will argue their value is their contribution to diversity. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Their value. And it's also interesting, the word value in art has to do with shading. I had an ex-girlfriend once, and she was an artist, and I remember she was drawing something or whatever, and I said something like, I really like how you did the shading. And she looked at me like I just kicked her puppy or something, and she said, it's called value. Because she was like in an art class in an art school, and I was like, oh, sorry. So I learned from then on, never call it shading. Or when you're talking to an artist, never call it shading. It's called value. I don't know if that's true. That's what her teachers told her, and it sort of got ingrained in my brain. But value is shading. So it's interesting. I just make that connection in my brain about what their real consideration is, what they really care about. Olga Karakati, soft skills. But oh, you're talking to somebody else. Sorry. Merry Christmas, Olga, by the way. Trying to get as many Merry Christmas. Andrew Joyner, Merry Christmas. If I missed you, if you're in the future or if you're lurking, Merry Christmas again. Let's see. So what do we want to do? I'm going to go for at least another half hour, I'll say. Do we want to do another diversity promotional video? I got one more left, or take a look at a bit of one of my favorite police interrogations. I'm wary about the police interrogation because really to get the full impact of it, you kind of have to watch the whole thing as it goes. And it's like hours long. How about I just tell you about the case to get you interested? You can look it up yourself. The guy's name is Lee Rodarte. Leerodarte. Lee Rodarte. And Lee Rodarte, he worked for a restaurant called the Bonefish Grill. And he had a girlfriend and he had a coworker. The girlfriend and the coworker are two different people. And the coworker's name was Savannah Gold. That's a great name. It sounds like a singer name out of the 70s or something, Savannah Gold. Anyway, Lee and Savannah kind of got together a little bit here and there and otherwise, even though Lee was a supervisor at the Bonefish Grill and Savannah was, I believe, one of the wait staff or something like that, which is a little not well recommended. Exactly. Don't date with your coworkers and things. But yeah, Lee and his girlfriend were having some rough patches and things, and then he and Savannah kind of hooked up. But Lee was very much into being a free spirit. He was a chef. He has, as far as I can tell, a very practiced chef. He took pride in his work and everything else, and he went to culinary school and was having a great time. Well, something happened one day, and Savannah disappeared. And everybody's like, where did Savannah go? What happened to Savannah? And she wasn't contacting her family for a little while. But then all of a sudden, her family started getting texts from Savannah's phone saying, I'm through with this. I'm tired. I've met a guy. We're going off together. And I'll get in touch with you later, but I just need to get away. Very unlike her. The syntax of the texts did not match her usual communications with her family. And obviously everything started getting very, very sketchy. So that's the setup. The interrogation, it's long. A lot of it is blank space. If you find the full interrogation, which is like 5 hours long or something, large chunks of it are him just sitting in a room waiting for the investigators to come in, or him being left alone in the room after he's already gone through the interrogation process. But it's one of those interrogations where the cops already know he's lying before they even sit down. They already have information that implicates him in the girl's disappearance before they speak one word to him. And he thinks he can talk his way out of it. And he doesn't know how much they know, and so on. And so kind of like the Russell Williams interrogation, it's one of those ones where, our retroactive knowledge of what's about to happen kind of sets up the tension as to when the needle's going to drop on him. But as you watch it and you listen to his story and you listen to the investigator and the language that they use and the comments they start making and how it transitions from sort of a very friendly conversation to a little bit more adversarial, a little bit more invasive, it's really good. And I think now that I think about it, if I tried to do it justice here in part, it wouldn't have nearly the same effect. And it really does play out like its own drama in a way. So I would recommend you go check out the full interrogation of Lee Rodarte. It's you can skip around in the video because, like I say, the first hour and 43 minutes are just him waiting in a room, and then it really starts cooking. But yeah, it's a case where you have a guy who is just so heartless. You see him try to dodge around the whole situation, and the detectives thankfully already have him dead to rights before word one is dropped. And it's a full interrogation and confession. So yeah, the confession part of it was withheld by the police for several months. Like they released the first part of the interrogation and then the aftermath of it, but they didn't release the confession until after the trial. So yeah, go check out Lee Rodarte, the full confession on YouTube. I don't have the link in front of me. I'm sure someone will have it. Dax Orion. Oh, is this the one where she's in the... No, this... No, she wasn't in a storage thing. No, this is... She ended up somewhere else. I won't give it away, per se, but I looked that one up. Okay, let's do our last diversity hire video here. And we'll watch that, and then maybe we'll wrap things up with some Christmas stuff. You know, because what better gift for Christmas than diversity hiring?
A clear and effective diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy is right at the top of the agenda for businesses across all sectors and of different sizes.
Yes, I agree. It is at the top of the agenda, and it's also the first thing they start cutting when financial concerns come up, as we learned from our panel of diversity consultants a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, it is very important. Very, very important to get your window dressing set up.
But if you're just getting started or want to access a wider pool of talent,
yes,
what is the best course of action?
I don't know. Oh my God. Don't compromise on talent. Well, if I'm considering anything other than skills, experience, and education, I am compromising on talent. Aren't I? Attract the skills you need. Okay. Ooh, and this lady's got a cyber arm in the background. You know, I find like modern day prosthetics really cool. I don't find it cool that people need them, obviously, but I can't deny it's really neat to see the evolution of those things. Anyway. Retain the best people. Best as assessed on what merits. Merits? Become an employer of choice. Oh, you mean for people that go to you to become an employee? Okay. What if I'm an employer of choice because of a monopoly? What if people don't have any choice? What about them? Hiring hacks. Oh, double entendre. Oh, double entendre. Yes. Is our speaker a hiring hack?
Hi, I'm Catherine Cybervo, partner at Page Executive.
Hi, Catherine. How's it going?
Here at Page Group, we believe that building an inclusive environment starts with your talent attraction strategy.
Yes.
That's why, in this edition of Hiring Hacks, I'll be showing you how to make sure you're following best practice for inclusive hiring.
Oh, I can't wait. What are the best practices for inclusive hiring? I can't wait. Why diversity, equity, and inclusion really matters. Okay.
So why does diversity, equity, and inclusion really matter?
I don't know.
Diverse, fair, and inclusive cultures foster connections, increase acceptance and tolerance, create trust, and improve morale.
Are you sure about that? Foster connections. Connections on the basis of what? Okay. Increase acceptance and tolerance. Oh, because you assume that your workforce already isn't accepting and is intolerant? Creates trust. Well, trust in what? Trust that my company's hiring people who are the best fit for the job on the basis of their skills, experience, and so on, that are going to be able to do the job effectively and efficiently, or that their diversity hires improve morale. Is it really improving morale if I have any belief that I was hired for a job purely on the basis of my appearance, or that my coworkers might assume the same? Are you sure about that?
These are all really important and beneficial. But an effective strategy can also improve your bottom line.
Well, that should be the first consideration, I would hope, is that it's going to improve the bottom line. Yes, what is the business case? And then tell me, as so many other diversity recruitment people have said in the past, why is it that when companies start feeling financial strains, one of the first things they start cutting are their DEI initiatives?
Diverse workforces have greater diversity of thought, levels of innovation, and business outcomes.
Do they? Based on what information? And again, defining diversity as what again?
In fact, a study by McKinsey found the most diverse organizations outperformed competitors by a third.
Oh, McKinsey said this. Yes, and McKinsey has never been known for having biased outcomes in their data sets or conclusions based on correlation and not causation. Yeah, okay. If anybody ever says McKinsey, it's an immediate red flag to me. Because McKinsey has an agenda. McKinsey has an inherent bias themselves. You need to give me more than one source for this information, and certainly one beyond McKinsey.
They were also 21% more likely to experience above average profitability.
What, more likely? Well, did they or didn't they?
Plus, the study found that decision-making by diverse teams delivered better outcomes 87% of the time.
Better outcomes as compared to what? Okay, so you can assess the quality of someone's thinking on the basis of their appearance. Interesting theory. Oh, that was it? Okay.
These are the key recruitment steps for inclusive hiring.
Okay.
Here are a few important steps that we always take with our clients to help them improve their inclusive recruitment processes.
All right, let's see how these match up against our previous video with the tips for what you shouldn't do.
Firstly, challenge the job description's essential criteria.
Oh, well, that sounds very familiar. Yes, as our first video said, we have to decide whether or not the job description actually requires the things we have on there, like a degree, like this certification, like that. We have to soften the requirements. We're not lowering the bar, we're reconsidering what's necessary.
For example, do you really need a degree?
Yes. Yes, you need a degree as a representation of being able to work towards a goal over a long period of time. That's what often it does, especially for entry-level positions. Doesn't necessarily have to be a degree on point with the business or the job. Some do, some don't. But more often than not, it is just a signifier that you have worked towards a goal over time.
Or a degree from certain universities, if the candidate has relevant experience.
Well, I don't know. Relevant experience can sometimes exceed the need for a degree from a quote-unquote specific university. It all depends on the job, all depends on the company. But how do you showcase that you have the relevant experience without a degree, without a certification? What is your showing of proof of possessing that experience? I mean, if you have work experience in other companies that can be verified, then perhaps. But then here's the thing. A company can't ask a former employer why you left the job. All they're allowed to do is to confirm your time of employment. They can't start rumor mongering. Now, you might be able to get a letter of recommendation from somewhere, but work experience alone is not necessarily an indicator of quality of knowledge. Right? That's why degrees are there. That's why certifications are there, because they went through a methodical process at some institution to achieve that thing. And some degrees and some certifications obviously carry more prestige than others, because if their programs are known to be of high quality, then that says something about the candidate in a way that simply work experience cannot. So, yeah, it's up to the employer how they want to assess what is necessary for a job. But degrees and certifications are shorthand and, sometimes very important signifiers of one's abilities before they even enter the room. But I could go on about that forever, but the point I think has been made. Why do you guys want to keep shedding off those things as unnecessary? What is the purpose of that?
Do you really need specific sector experience, or are key capabilities transferable from sector to sector?
It depends on the job, doesn't it? Do you really need those things? Do you really need to demand the highest quality of participants and candidates? I don't know.
Do you need someone who's already at the same level of seniority, or could it be an opportunity for the candidate to step up?
Well, is it an entry-level position or isn't it?
This is really important. You need to think about capability versus experience. By reducing essential requirements, you'll broaden the search and capture diversity of thought that you would otherwise have missed.
I need to think about capability versus experience. How do I assess capability in the absence of some form of tangible certification of skill? Capability. We're back to potential again. You know, if I buy a package of seeds, right, they have the potential to grow a plant. Right? If they never leave the package, they always have that potential, but that potential is never realized. Potential doesn't mean anything all by its lonesome. Capability doesn't mean anything all by its lonesome. Anybody in the audience right now has the capability of writing the next great novel, right? You all have that capability. Will that actually happen? Is everybody interested in doing that? No. Capability is meaningless, especially when you're hiring for a job. You have to have some evidence that the person is going to fit into the job requirements. Potential, capability, they're nice words for an inspirational poster. But when I'm trying to hire somebody for a job that I need filled in order to increase my company's productivity and bottom line, how much of a guess do I want to make?
Secondly, consider anonymized CVs. If you use anonymized CVs, details such as the candidate's name and gender will be removed.
Great, fine, do that. I'm fine with that. I have no problem with that. At some point, you're going to have to meet the person, so you can't eliminate the potential for bias. But yeah, sure, okay. Just here's the merits of the individual coming in, all this other stuff aside, great. Anonymized CVs are probably as pure a meritocracy process as you can ask for.
This helps remove any conscious or unconscious bias towards any gender or ethnicity.
Excellent.
And
I agree with that one.
Use a diverse panel of interviewers.
How do you assess diverse, and why should I?
Doing this will show prospective employees that your business is diverse and will also ensure that each candidate is interviewed fairly and inclusively.
How do you know that? I mean, obviously, again, we have to assume that our incoming talent pool are all racists and or sexists and or whatever. And what, if you have a diverse interviewing panel, you know that they aren't going to be racist and or sexist or whatever. If they're hiring for diversity, aren't they required to be racist and or sexist and or so on? I mean, what is the point of the diversity process if not to meet the outcome of a visually representative workforce? Are you kidding me right now?
This is a really great way to give candidates a good experience and enable them to understand your culture better.
Well, yeah, like from that panel we did, the last Sunday stream from Quest, where our ERG lead was so excited to join the company because he was interviewed by a panel of 3 women. That's all he said. He was interviewed by a panel of 3 women, and then he knew he wanted to join the company. He never talked about, who the women were or what they showed otherwise in their skills, experience, or treatment of him or anything else. He was just very happy that he was interviewed by 3 women. That's great. That's great.
These 3 areas are a great starting point for any business that wants to create a more inclusive recruitment process. Okay, well, point number 2 is the only one that I don't inherently have an immediate cringe factor for. Because, yeah, okay, that is about as meritorious a process as you can ask for. Just here is individual X's qualifications: education, work experience, skill set, etc. We don't know the name, don't know the age, don't know the gender, don't know anything else. Just here's the skills. Here's the tool to solve the problem in the company. There you go. Okay.
Here's the specs. There you go. That's the specs. That's better. Not just a tool. Here's the specs.
And also have a more diverse and equal workplace.
Equal?
As your recruitment partner, Page Group will work with you every step of the way.
I'm sure you will.
We can help you write your job description.
Oh.
Prepare interview questions.
Uh-huh.
And even be involved in your interviewing panel.
Oh, thanks.
To find out more about diverse hiring and how we help our clients, get in touch today.
I won't. I won't. Because you're promoting the very thing that I'd want to avoid if I were an employer. You talk about, anonymous CVs, which is great, but then you want to make sure that your panel is quote unquote diverse. So at what point do you admit that you're employing discrimination in your processes? That you need bias to make your entire business model work? I don't know. Anyway, there you go, guys. I'll take a few more minutes here and just hang out. Anything anybody want to talk about or mention? Any names you want to drop? Any shout outs for this Christmas? Oh, tall person, Merry Christmas. Hoy all, just stopping in to wish you all a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, tall person. Hey, tall person, did you know that December 25th is Christmas Day? I know that one for sure. Let's see. Merry Christmas, Asia Research Directorate. Anybody else that I see in here? Let's see. Dax or Ryan, Merry Christmas, if I didn't already say so. Just making sure. Ryan R, Merry Christmas. Tales of Gore, Merry Christmas. Tales of Gore. Yeah, it really improves morale when I have to carry the weight of the unqualified minority who is only at their job to tick off a box on a diversity checklist. Or anybody that they've selected just because they look correct or they fill a demographic need or whatever else. I just want to know that the people I'm working with know what they're doing. That really is it. The company I work for, we're a very small company. Number of employees is, if we have 15, that's probably stretching it. If I had to count it up right now, it's probably something like 13 or 14. Either way, most of the people I work with have been there for years and years because they're very good at their jobs. We all get along because we all do our bit. And we can all rely on each other to know what to do when a situation shows up, right? Because if I have a problem with the code is throwing off an error, I know exactly who to go to, and they fix it in like 10 minutes because they know the job and they know the code and they know how to do it. If I have a question about customer service, I know exactly who our customer service manager is. And they've been managing it for years now, and they know it inside out and backwards, right? And especially these days, not that it mattered when I was in the office, but these days, it doesn't matter to me what they look like. It never did. It's just, do you know how to do your job? Because what's worse, having somebody who has no idea what they're doing and have to work with somebody who's just incompetent? Regardless of what they look like, that just doesn't help anything. But no, we have to make all these considerations otherwise for a more different. Just hire people who know what they're doing. That should be the metric. Good gravy. Thank you again, Dax. Orion, I wasn't here on time. Please refer to me as Baron von Strucker's Jelly. You mean Baron von Smuckers? Are you competing for running Hydra along with Madam Hydra? I always like Baron von Strucker. Oh, the best bad guys were always like the mutated or cyborg Nazis in Captain America comics and things. I always thought Von Strucker was kind of cool. Ms. Slim 1, Merry Christmas. And I'm reaching backwards in my mind for how to say that in German. I don't remember all of a sudden. I remember Happy Birthday. Zum Geburtstag viel Glück. Zum Geburtstag viel Glück. Alles Gute zum Geburtstag. Zum Geburtstag viel Glück. Yeah, but Merry Christmas, I don't remember, honestly. No, is it Vinox? No, I don't know. I don't want to say something in German that I get completely wrong. Here we go. Frohe Weihnachten. Is that it? Frohe Weihnachten. Something like that? Or Weihnacht? Frohe Weihnachten. Okay. I tried. I tried. I took 3 years of German in high school, and I remember so very little, like how to sing Happy Birthday and Ich habe Kokain geschniffen. That's about it. That's about the important stuff, you know. Wo ist die Toiletten bitte? Dr. Functional, oof, nursing a twisted ankle. Oh, no. That sucks. Oh, well, put some ice on that and take care of it, dude. That's no good. Let's see. Dax says, no, Struckers for the win. Yes, I am Hydra. Are you, though? Are you really? I mean, you kind of told us out loud. It's not I am Hydra. It's psst, Hail Hydra. Anyway, I could move on. Rib Rascal, on the rare occasion, a woke will ask me if I name myself after the Nazi von Ribbentrop, who I didn't even know about. I would never in a million years have even thought to make that connection with your handle. At all. Like Ribbentrop? I thought is it 2 B's? I thought there was a V in there, so like Ribbentrop or something. I don't know. That's crazy. Okay, so guys, before we finish up, throw out to me, what are your plans for the rest of Christmas Day? Even if it's nothing but being lazy, just say, I'm going to be lazy. Or if you're at work, what are you going to do when you get off work? Which I hope will be sooner rather than later. Let me know. I want to hear what your plans for the rest of Christmas are. And especially if you have tomorrow off, which some people do and some people don't. You got any big plans going on? Let me know in the chat and we'll wind this down. Let's see. Beyond that, let's see. How about some shout outs? How about some Merry Christmas shout outs? First and foremost, Merry Christmas shout out to Dave's Lemonade, true crime creator on YouTube. Go check out Dave's Lemonade for some long form true crime content. Like a lot of Dave's Lemonade stuff. Hoping to have him on for an interview, maybe, finally, a second episode of Living on Borrowed Crime. My fingers are crossed to get Dave on and maybe Stay Awake vids. That's another true crime channel if you haven't seen it. Stay Awake. Really good stuff. Also, Beside the Dying Fire, which is apropos for my fireplace here. Beside the Dying Fire is also a great true crime channel. Who else? Oh, CoffeeZilla. With all the FTX stuff and financial shenanigans going on lately, he's been around for several years now, but I only just now kind of found him. Yeah, check out CoffeeZilla for some great little takedowns of YouTube scammers and financial frauds and what's going on with the FTX stuff and NFTs and all that kind of crazy stuff. Both him and Kira TV. Kira TV, I've mentioned Kira several times before. He started out like reviewing MMOs and doing some in-depth stuff on the corporate movements of MMOs and Kickstarter projects and things like that. He has evolved into these excellent documentaries on a myriad of subjects, from political intrigue to government malfeasance to financial crimes to real crimes to cults. He's really blossomed in the last 6 months or so, especially. So go check out Kira TV. And shout outs to the OG Lords of the Night crowd, Ranting Monkey, Satsu 2 Cents, or Fam 2 Cents now. Satsu's getting his business together, and it's really great to see. It's really great to see. Follow Fam 2 Cents, FAM number 2 cents on Twitter. And follow along with Satsu's progression with his business and his aspirations. It's really good. And also Merry Christmas to baby Aaliyah. And Merry Christmas to the various Grand Monkeys. There's Grand Monkey number 1, Pumpkin, and Peanut. Hope they're all having a happy Christmas with their toys and their families. Sinatra Says. So Sinatra Says has a new channel called Sinatra's Speakeasy, where he just showcases different mixed drinks and cocktails and tries them out, recipes and otherwise, and teaches you how to do them too. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, go check out Sinatra's Speakeasy, as well as, his regular Sinatra Says channel and Sinatra Screams and Creep Sin, where he does, I think he's still doing it, pretty sure he does like creepypastas and things like that. Sinatra is a Renaissance man when it comes to YouTube content. So go check that stuff out. Who else should I talk about? Oh, Your Boy Pat. Go check out Your Boy Pat. P-Dog Night. P-Dog Night does his morning show every weekday, as far as I know. It's 7 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. Eastern time. And I was just on his show very briefly Friday for his call-in show, because I only had a few minutes because of work. and they were talking about Ukraine and everything, and you had a panel on with like Hotep Jesus and a bunch of other guys. Love P-Dog. Go check them out. You get your morning news dump, as it were. Also, Pop Culture Minefield. Jerry and the crew over Pop Culture Minefield, Martin Acosta. Those guys break down like comic book stuff and movie stuff on a daily basis. Christopher Moonlight Productions. I've been talking to Christopher for a few months now. He's got some projects in the way of his sort of animated sci-fi Barbarella-esque old-fashioned sci-fi movie, Escape from Omega 12. Just go check out Christopher Moonlight. He's also a filmmaker. He actually has a film out there on like Tubi and other streaming services, The Quantum Terror. God, who else? Man, there's so many. I should go down the list or something. Oh, Blind Press. Go check out Blind Press. She does news breakdowns of what's going on in Canada and other things. And she's also got an OnlyFans if you're into that kind of thing. And check that out too. Weibo Jones. Go check out Weibo Jones if you don't know about Weibo. She does a great weekly show called The Cocktail Hour. And just goes over things with Polydub. Polydub, who is responsible for animating the clouds on my avatar in some of my videos. You might see that. Let's see. Resolute Germ. I have to copy several box sets of DVDs to digital, so I'm going to be very bored all Christmas. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, have some fun music playing and dance around while the things are copying over, I guess. I don't know. Rib Rascal, Joachim von Ribbentrop. It is, okay, it was two B's. Okay, Hitler's, that is such a weird connection. I don't know. Daxarai, question, when are you going to refollow me on Twitter? You haven't since my first account got yeeted. Oh, I tweet me and tag me and I will fix that. These things go by the wayside sometimes. Probably since I didn't know your account got yeeted, I didn't notice your absence. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Trying to keep track of everything. So yeah, tag me in a tweet from your current account, and I will remedy that. Yeah, Mike Savage also says finishing watching Polydub's Noir Bar and Monkey in the Morning after this. Yeah, Monkey in the Morning with Ranting Monkey. Go check out Ranting Monkey for sure, and follow him. And let's see, anything else? Oh yes, Jack Cochran. Bad comic review streams. Watch My Laundry. LOL. Jack has a bunch of channels. It's true. Yeah. Watch My Laundry. Yes. Senior staff reporter Jack Cochran, who is now sort of the go-to guy on Monkey streams as well. He's Monkey's Igor, I suppose, is one way to look at it. And Derek LaRue, thanks for hanging out, Sky. Well, thank you, Derek LaRue, for hanging out with me. Thank you all for taking the time to hang out. I hope I brought some distraction and or quasi-entertainment to your Christmas morning, if you needed it, if you were alone, if you didn't have a big family gathering or anything going on, or if you're at work and just needed some distraction. Yeah, everybody, I want to thank you all. We'll have a New Year's show next week, of course. But either way, I want to thank you all for such a happy 2022. And I know it's been a rough 2022. It hasn't been, great, but you guys, this community that's been built up around these shows that I do, Monkey does, Satsu, Sinatra, we all share, sort of a genetic memory one to another with our communities and with our audiences. And you guys support each other so much. Like the fundraisers at the top of the chat box, your guys' generosity has really, really raised the spirits of our friends Moonshock, Angry Illinoisian, and his kitten. And before then, Shady Grin. And your generosity to me, I don't know what else to say except thank you so much. I'm doing my best to pay it forward in other places and help other people out because I'm fortunate. I am very fortunate that I'm relatively secure, all things considered. And your guys' assistance is really appreciated. But I do my best to pay that forward elsewise because I am in such a good place overall. And I hope to be that for a long time. But I know that if for some reason I wasn't, I could ask for help. And I have such a network of friends to help out with that if it were necessary. But thankfully it's not. And I hope it's not for you either. But if it is, don't be afraid to ask for help. And if there's anything I can do, by all means, let me know. And I'll see what I can do to help out in promoting a fundraiser or getting the word out there of something that's going on What little reach I have, I've got a network of friends that, the reach is compounded when things come up. So there you go. But all that aside, thank you all for such a great 2022 in doing the channel stuff and the shows and your support and your attendance and your participation. It's really kept my spirits up, and I hope I've done at least something to keep yours up as well. If I can keep you up, I'm happy to do so. If you'd like to hear more from me, you can find me here certainly next Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for another installment of TED Excellence, where I'll take a look at another TEDx or off-brand TED Talk, I should say. I'm losing my words here. Before I start wandering off into nowhere land on the moon's surface, everyone, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, if Monday is your holiday of choice, as it were. I hope you all have a good rest of the week. And if I don't see you before then, or after then, I should say, have a happy, happy New Year. Celebrate it well. I hope you are all safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.